The most famous apparition associated with the park is that of a woman who is known as the Grey Lady. Throughout the past 200 years, a number of stories have arisen claiming sight of a ghostly figure, although her age and degree of spectral greyness are far from consistent. Generations of children have frightened each other with Grey Lady pranks, while an avenue of trees in Cranford Woods is known anecdotally as the Grey Lady's Walk. The earliest and arguably the best testified sighting of a female spectre is recorded in My Life and Recollections, the memoirs of Grantley Berkeley, first published in 1865. Grantley Berkeley and his elder brother Thomas were sons of the 5th Earl of Berkeley, and we learn that late one night in 1820 they came down the stairs of Cranford House, demolished in 1945, before going out in pursuit of poachers. On entering the kitchen, they beheld the mysterious figure. She was dressed as a maidservant, with a poke bonnet and a dark shawl. On my entrance, she slowly turned her head, and as she did, every feature ought to have stood forth in the firelight, but beneath her bonnet was an indistinctness of outline not to be accounted for. The figure appeared to glide through the kitchen, only to go behind a fire screen and disappear. Rather than having seen a ghost, it's been suggested that the two young men merely saw one of the maidservants, who was wandering about the house long after she should have been in bed. Another member of the Berkeley family, who was returning to the house late one night, claimed to have spotted an elderly woman in the woods. As he approached to investigate, the trespasser vanished. A marble statue of a young woman and a small child at her feet has given rise to a version of the Grey Lady story. This statue, which came perilously close to destruction, once stood at the head of the northernmost of two artificial ponds in the park. It's the only garden ornament to have survived. Popular legend claims it commemorated a young mother who had drowned her child. Some versions say they were twins, in the lake. This variation on the story reminds us just how susceptible are orally transmitted tales to factual transformation. However, closer inspection shows us that the statue depicts Venus, the Roman goddess of love and fertility, and her child Cupid, whose real story, however, is as sensational as its legend. Dating from the 17th century, Venus and Cupid statue is the work of sculptor Nicholas Stone. Another example of his work reposes in the park's St Dunstan's Church, a funerary monument to Lady Elizabeth Berkeley, who bought the Cranford estate in 1618. It remained in possession of the Berkeley family until 1932. A woman recalled that she was in St Dunstan's Church with some friends and their 8-year-old daughter. The child spotted a lady near the front of the church, dressed in grey, and asked, "Why is that lady crying?" Apparently, the adults were unable to see the lady, since they asked the girl, "What lady?" To which she replied, "The one at the front of the church." At this point, the party made a hasty retreat. The same woman remembers Cranford House before it was demolished. She reports that relatives of her school friends were caretakers there, and she had the opportunity to enter the house. According to her account, she says that she was shown parts of a female statue, whom she describes as a daughter who had drowned in the lake when her sweetheart was killed. Although frequent allusions are made to the Grey Lady, only a few people claim to have seen her. A middle-aged man shared this story dating from 1979 to 1980. Driving along Cranford Lane at about 10 o'clock on a misty winter's evening, he was suddenly confronted by a woman running right in front of his car. Fearing he had run her over, he got out to inspect the scene, only to discover no one there. In rather less eerie circumstances, one lady remembers seeing an old lady dressed in a very old-fashioned serge dress with a white collar, sitting on a rock. whilst walking along the riverbank with her dog in 1972. As it was a hot day, she thought it strange that someone should be so overdressed, but continued with her walk. On returning by the same route, she reached the spot where she had seen the old woman, and not only was there no trace of her, but the rock had disappeared as well. In June 2013, a local resident, Miss Amelia Clements, by then aged in her 90s, recorded her memories of having seen the Grey Lady when a teenager. Amelia's family lived in Cranford Lane, and she attended St. Dunstan's Church. One sunny summer Sunday, she was late for the morning service and was running along the carriage drive towards the bridge over the River Crane. When she reached the summit of the bridge, she saw a female ghost, dressed in white, appearing on the water. Amelia was so alarmed that she fled home, without taking a second look. A skeptic might say that she only saw a shaft of bright sunlight on the water. However, there have been sufficient sightings of a ghostly woman, be she grey, white, old or young, since the days of Grantley Berkeley and his brother Thomas, to be respectful of their long-cherished recollections.